Last time I told you that I was going to Bryansk in the Bryansk region, but in fact, I have a kind of inspection across our entire Russian military border area. So now I am on a business trip where all the attention of our country, our great Russia, is focused on our Russian border area. We worked for several days in Bryansk, spent 3 days in the Belgorod region, and now at night I arrived in the Kursk region. Soon I will be picked up and we will go to work with the guys on the front line. Let's start with the situation. In the Bryansk region, there is no enemy on our territory. There are border areas that suffer greatly. For example, the settlements of Klimovo, Suzemka, and Belaya Berezka. While Klimovo and Suzemka are located somewhere, they are 70 kilometers from the border. There are occasional artillery and drone strikes observed there. But Belaya Berezka directly borders Ukraine. The outermost yards of the settlement smoothly transition into Ukrainian gardens, and so on. And there, everything is very active. Drones. In general, it is scary to be there. Almost everything is destroyed. Almost all residents have been evacuated to temporary accommodation centers. And well, it is simply impossible to stay there safely. Ukrainian drones regularly hunt for people. So overall, the situation in the region is tense, consistently tense. That's how I would describe it. I managed to talk with the governor of the Bryansk region, Alexander Bogomaz. We walked around the center of Bryansk. I asked him questions that interested me. Here, you can watch the interview on our program We Are Alive on Channel 1. I posted the full post on my Telegram. So come and watch. Alexander Vasilyevich Bogomaz, as I found out, is a reserve major of the airborne forces. He dreamed of becoming a military man all his life. He even graduated from a military school, and then he also graduated from a pedagogical institute. It is located right opposite the administration. He used to study there, and now he works opposite. So in general, he was a school teacher. Then he became a farmer. He managed a farming enterprise, and then he decided to work in the authorities. But this is a lyrical digression, so to speak. So in general, the region is preparing, temporary accommodation points have been created. Moreover, all the mistakes in the taps have been taken into account. They are immediately created at least 50 kilometers from the border, where it is safest. Bedding has been purchased. Food supplies have been created. There is a notification system. Volunteer points have been created. Points for collecting and sorting humanitarian aid. Evacuation drills are being conducted. I want to remind viewers that evacuation is not simple. It's not just buses coming, picking up people, and leaving. In fact, it is a complex set of measures for notification, securing specific buses, specific transport companies, and securing drivers. To ensure that everything is operational at the required time, location, and moment, safe gathering points and evacuation routes must be established. Attached to the bus are both medics and emergency service personnel. In general, this is a comprehensive effort where every link must be well thought out and must not fail in this overall chain. In the Bryansk region, an armed territorial defense has also been created. Previously, we had people's militias, the guys trained, but they did not have the right to bear arms. Now, this is an armed territorial defense supported by the National Guard. Mostly it consists of former OMON and SOBR officers. There are police officers, mature men. They are now training at the same level as OMON and SOBR. They will perform tasks at the border, patrolling and maintaining order. Regarding the school year, there is this 20-kilometer zone where the format is completely remote. Beyond these 20 kilometers, a decision was made in conjunction with parents for in-person learning. What surprised me was the decision. I was actually surprised by the governor's decision not to set up shelters for now so as not to create panic. We even argued about it, talked, but he has his own arguments for this. So that's how things are. As for the Belgorod region, I spent several days there. We were in an active phase of shelling, regularly waking up to sirens. We ourselves came under fire. In the Belgorod region, there are no enemy forces on our territory, but there are border villages and settlements that are in very bad shape. These are the villages of Tishanka, Dronovo, Novaya Tavolzhanka, Oktyabrsky, Murom, the city of Shebekino, which is already buzzing every day from morning till night, while Belgorod itself is under constant shelling by the Ukrainian armed forces. You have probably heard the latest news about the terrible shelling of Belgorod, about the kindergarten, where they were injured. Yes, about the kindergarten. Our film crew was in the city at that time. We filmed everything on the spot, and you can watch these videos on our website and Telegram channel. Because people say that not enough time is devoted to these incidents on television. But we are there, we are on the spot, we are with the people, we are working and showing. Also, while working in the village of Oktyabrsky, which is in the Belgorod district of the region, we were literally there a few hundred meters from the impact site, several 150-meter shells. So we arrived at the scene, not among the first. And I want to note the coordinated work of the territorial defense and its commander Alexander Kerchevsky. He is a local activist communist. And in general, the territorial defense works very cohesively there. The shelling had just begun. The guys are already at the scene of the incident, cordoning off everything around so that passersby do not enter this danger zone. So there are a huge number of concerned citizens who helped to extinguish the fire. In general, as they say, everyone helped together, and of course, the special services were working. This is not even up for discussion because at the scene of the incident, there are always firefighters, the Ministry of Emergency Situations, and ambulances. In general, everyone. Just the day before yesterday, we were working in Shebekino. We also came under cluster shelling. We had to take cover with the residents in the entrance of a 5-story building to wait out the shelling. So, the city of Shebekino is living very hard. About 70% of the residents have left. There, after the administration. In those areas, there are practically no people left. The city has become completely deserted. Many apartments and houses are destroyed, although all services and utility company employees are constantly working there. They are trying to carry out at least some restoration work. At the very least, they are trying to close the thermal circuit. But all this is done during periods of calm. This can be 5 to 10 minutes, maybe an hour, and mainly the arrivals start again. Of course, there are some truly saintly people who are absolutely genuine, sincere, wishing to help their loved ones who stayed there, and they try, to keep the city in order somehow, to water the flowers and plant the flower beds, and of course to close the thermal contour and to close the new crater from the 150-meter shell or the vampire fence. There's something else I'd like to note. For all of us, probably this common pain, the border has merged into some kind of, abstract pain behind which, in general, you can't see specific people, tragedies, and fates. And so I walked into this, small flower shop in Shebekino where I met 2 crying women. They had a huge crater right in front of the shop. There had been a recent strike. Everything was shattered and broken, these flower pots. And they were there with their little brooms cleaning up in this flower shop. And these women were just cleaning all of this, crying. They told me about the whole hopeless situation. The situation is such that the subsistence minimum and the minimum pension are now about 13,000. As you understand, it is practically impossible to live on this amount, and a working pensioner does not receive a supplement to the minimum. And the pension can be around 8 to 10,000 approximately, which is generally sad. And at the same time, the life's work is shattered. And somehow this little shop and this woman, Elizaveta Solodova, a pensioner, an individual entrepreneur, she was just crying so hopelessly, She said that she doesn't want to be a burden to her children. Her son has 5 children of his own. Her daughter has 4 children. In general, she doesn't see any prospects in life right now, and she just cries in despair. And when you see such sorrow among Russian people, who are the salt of the Russian earth, our indigenous, our real people, it just breaks your heart. And so we try to tell these stories so that everyone understands that war is not just about beautiful arrows, enemy corpses, villages taken and retaken back and forth. It is a huge tragedy. And the misfortune of people that needs to be known, that needs to be considered. And we should try to help in any way we can. And as our president says, in any case, the priority of the state, there should be a decent life for all our citizens. And we as journalists should help our president as much as possible. our state, our citizens, find common ground and listen to each other. And also, I managed to talk with the governor yesterday in the Belgorod region with Vyacheslav Gladkov. He very rarely gives such interviews. And I asked him a lot of such interesting questions, and one which surprised and amazed me, but which I really wanted to ask. I said to him, Vyacheslav Vladimirovich, did anyone call you at all? When the situation in Kursk began, when the shelling started, when small mobile groups entered, someone called you, said something in general. Vyacheslav Vladimirovich, please help. You have such extensive experience. What should I do to ensure people's safety? And but no one called him. Although in the Belgorod region, a colossal amount of experience has been accumulated. This all comes from the governor's team. All these shelters, all these leaflets, all these protective films. In general, everyone tries to think through the details to the best of their ability as local authorities to protect their people. But no one called him. There is no such exchange of experience among those border areas. I only know there was a delegation only from the Tula region. That's it. And I also know that, my God, Artyukov, how was this connected? Seems like, in general, I don't have this experience. It's very sad because it seems to me that Vyacheslav Vladimirovich just could Mariana. I am forced. Sorry to interrupt. We are leaving now for information news. Yes, and you will continue. You will finish on the internet. News on Radio Sputnik? Yes. Sorry. Continue. My connection is also a bit unstable. Yes. Fine. The main thing, so that you can hear me. Heard. Here. Of course, I would also like to communicate with the governor of the Kursk region. There hasn't been such a thing. Experience with Alexei Smirnov. And also with the governor of Yamal Nenets in general, with the governor of Yamal S., Dmitry Andreevich Artyukov, because we often help Donbass, and here, I want it, of course, to catch. Therefore, I would like to use your ether for that, to invite him to an interview. There will be an official address to the press service.